Ciao, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to JuveCornerCast. And this is your daily news show. And I'm with Angelo here, man. Welcome back, Ange. How is everything?
Ciao everyone, it's good to be back. It's definitely been a little while since I've been back in the studio, as you'd say. But I'm glad to be here to talk about Juventus news and the upcoming stuff that's been going on.
Yeah, man. No, glad to have you back, bro, because there's a lot of stuff that we need to get into, man. Weah is now here we go to Marseille, so he's going to be leaving Juventus. It's on a loan with an obligation to buy. It's 1 million a loan with I believe it's a 14, 15 million buy obligation. So hey, I mean, Juventus, I mean, as you now, right? You haven't been here on the channel in a bit. So I'm going to give you like a little update on everything that's been going on. And I'm pretty sure you all already know anyway. So we have a new technical director. We have also a new general manager as well at the club of Juventus, since the sacking of Giuntoli and Motta last season. So, man, I mean, listen, what are your thoughts? And let's get into it. What are your thoughts about this whole Weah situation, man? Because I want to know, what I mean? Like, what are your true thoughts about this whole situation, man?
Look, in all honesty, I feel that he had some good moments at Juventus. He had definitely some negative moments at Juventus. He was starting to be moved around into more of a role player where we were dropping him into a fullback role when he is typically known to be a winger both for his national team and for his primary position with his club. But I definitely think that I think it was a good move because when you start moving your guys out of position to try to fit the role and it's not his comfortable area. Like I said, he did have some good games at fullback, but that's not the player he is. And I feel
Yeah.
like it did the job to kind of push through to the season, to claim Champions League. Unfortunately, not the Scudetto, but it was the band-aid for that role that we used him for. I think that now, since the season's over and we're rolling into a fresh new year, I think we have to get someone who's better for there and ready to go right away. So I think getting rid of Weah and maybe taking the money and putting that elsewhere was not the was a pretty good decision, not a bad one from Juventus.
Yeah, no, I think especially like with all the drama that was going on, there was drama with Weah's agent and Juventus even before. Like he was saying a lot of stuff about the management in general, about specifically Comoli, the general manager, and there was a lot of tension between them. Weah wanted to go to Marseille, so it was bound to happen. But well, Comoli, he came out, I believe it was about a couple of days ago, and he came out and said that if any player wants to leave, it has to be on Juventus terms. It has to be on Juventus terms, which I agree with, you know, and obviously because the club is, going to be always first in terms of this. But you already know, the players are going to want this, they're going to want that. So that's where the whole tension is. But listen, I think that Comoli won, and he did get a pretty good deal out of it. And of course, now the question lies, right? Who's going to be the replacement of Weah? Will we regret, getting rid of Weah? Because now, squad depth wise, now it's like we're decreasing a lot now, and we're not even bringing anybody in. Yes, we brought in Alberto Costa, we brought in Jonathan David, we brought in so many of these guys, but now we're getting rid of Mbangula. We got rid of Roya now. Douglas Luiz is also on his way out, which will probably be in the next video too, as well, guys. So stay tuned for that. And yeah, no, I mean, listen, in terms of everything, do you think that Juventus and a lot of the Juventus fan base is going to regret uh let Weah go? What do you think?
Um, well, here's the thing. I don't know if they're gonna regret it so much, but I think they would have been maybe more accepting of it if they had a plan or an idea, maybe not set already, but just like a player on standby. Okay, if Weah does go, do we have this guy prepped to possibly bring in? Do we have an option like
Yeah,
ready to go? Like it may not be finalized yet, but there's the idea of, okay, Weah is starting to go out. We have the idea of bringing in this player, and I feel like you can't let the player go without the per without the future decision for the club. So it's just say like your star player is going. You
yeah,
already are starting to look at the next young player coming up that's going to fill that role. I feel like it's obviously the same thing with transfers. When one starts, when one starting to make their way out of the club. You gotta have that person ready to come in. I mean, this is not like grassroots football. This is professional football where there's obviously a lot of money involved. You have managers and everything. There shouldn't be an excuse why you can't find the next upcoming person to fill that role when you're starting to see one of your guys is making his way out that door.
Yeah, no, and the thing is also,
Be frustrated about that is this as if
yeah,
like you said, squad depth is that or are we not bringing in the proper guys when we're starting to see the ones that are going we're not making any moves or it's not being let's just say as it may not be as known where it's like okay this is most likely going to happen. I feel like
yeah.
that's what the Juventus fans want to see. They want to get maybe a little more insight if there's anything happening behind closed doors that maybe okay like I could be a little more relaxed and confident that we're going to make the right decisions for the club.
Yeah, no, exactly. And also, like, what is the plan, right? Which is also going to be another video, guys. I'm going to be explaining everything with all that. But, what is currently the plan of Juventus? What is, like, they're going to be going forward? You know what I'm saying? With, players that are going to be going out. Are we going to replace them with mediocre players? Or are we going to replace them with, great players? So at the moment, it's like, Juventus, right? Comoli came out and he also said that, if a player leaves, that Juventus will act fast on the market. Well, it's been a day already since the way here we go, and nothing is really happening in terms of the in terms of the income, incoming players. Right, there's nothing. So in terms of what I would say, if Juventus was going to regret it, possibly if we don't get a replacement for Weah, I think, in my opinion, because you already got rid of Mbangula, you just got rid of Weah, right? Now you're going to need to find somebody, and possibly there's going to be more players that are going to be leaving. So, who's going to be the right replacements for these players, and then we'll see, and we will reevaluate before obviously the season, and we'll do like a mercato review, but yeah, so far, I mean, listen, it's a good deal in terms of what the player, wanted, right? What the Juventus wanted. But I'm concerned because, we need the squad depth. And, sadly, we need a player that can come into this club and be like that impact as well. I mean, be that impact player. Like, especially off the bench, right? We need squad depth. So,
Especially facing the injuries that we did last season.
yeah, last
And
season was atrocious. I'm
and
saying
al-
this into that.
and also I'd like to say it is crunch time. I mean, preseason games are happening with
Yeah,
uh with the international friendlies and well, not international. I mean, with clubs from all over the world, these friendlies are happening.
yeah.
Um, so I mean, you are definitely approaching the season in the next upcoming week. So you gotta act. Excuse me. You gotta act fast on these decisions.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. You gotta you gotta act now. Like the season is in like what, 20 days, 20 something days. Yeah, you know what I mean. Like we need to act fast. In terms of the mercato, in terms of what we're gonna need to integrate also these players before the season starts. Because if we go into like what the first two games already, what I mean, with a defense that we have, which we will talk about as well in terms of other videos say that we do. We'll do like the mercato review like we did last season. Um, but yeah, man. No, I mean, like I said, I'm very concerned about Juventus in terms of where we're gonna finish. You know, it's
And
it's not looking good.
And Gio, that was a good point. You're talking about integrating players. Obviously, we are a Juventus podcast and stuff like that. But if you go to say look at Kevin De Bruyne, look what he's doing for Napoli right now. You're seeing him playing all these preparation matches and just getting integrated with the squad, getting himself going again. It's obviously maybe not say it's obviously not his best form that you're seeing, but he's getting himself acclimated with the environment, with the play style,
Yeah,
because he's
with
coming
the
from
team in general. With the team in
exactly.
general. You know what I mean?
So so I think that's a perfect example of a big name player that could just walk onto the squad when it's time to start going and and have that ego as you say, be like, no, I'm not playing in these matches. I'm just gonna play when it's starting to matter when the season starts. But no, he's been doing all these little friendly matches and or stuff, all these friendly matches in the summer, and you're starting to see how he's coming into the team. So that's a great point you're talking about is the players being integrated because it doesn't matter what what level of the game you're at
Yeah.
in professional football. If you're just signing your first professional contract, or you're someone like Kevin De Bruyne who's been at the highest echelons of the game for however many years now, he's still doing the basic things when, say, he goes to the new club. He goes to the new
Yeah.
club. No, I'm not the big dog there anymore. I'm brand new here, so that means I got to play all these preparation matches so that when I step onto my first season game, all right, now everyone's looking at me saying, okay, this was a good transfer. This is why we got him. He's immediate impact. He's not flopping. He's doing exactly what we expected from him, and that's
Yeah.
why the integration point from being transferred is key. So that's why we need to act fast, because there's not much time left to get these guys acclimated to our play style, um, and just the identity. And if, especially, I don't want to go on too long here, but
Hmm.
if you're coming from uh, a non Champions League competing team, you got to get
Yeah.
yourself prepped to play for this high amount of games. These are a lot of games that you're going to be playing
Yeah.
once you finish your season going into Champions League. So you got to have your body prepped and in shape to handle the high workload.
Yeah, that's why I'm also saying, because since we are going to be playing a lot of competitions as well, going back to the Weah as well, we're getting rid of Weah that could be also useful in this team. You know what I mean? But the thing is, right, we're getting rid of him, but who are we going to replace him with? In terms of names right now, we don't really have any. You know what I mean? Gutierrez, I have been hearing, the Sancho links, which has been really farther away now. And, it's just like I said, in terms of, the, the incoming players, right? The rumors about these different types of players that are linked with the club. It's not an advanced stage. It's like really not there at the moment. We can even get Colomwani, which PSG they want like a 60 million obligation. Supposedly they're open with a loan. But that's what I'm saying. In terms of the incoming players, Juventus is not acting on that. But the outgoing, we're actually trying to make at least some moves so then we can make the incoming transfers, right? I mean, we went back to the Douglas Luiz, right? He's supposedly close, which we'll talk about that in another video. But Weah, in terms of the impact that I think, that at least he had, especially off the bench, I think that we're going to need a player that can, be as impactful, maybe more than what Weah was contributing to the team. So for me, I say that since letting him go, it's good, but at the same time, if we're not replacing him, then that's bad because we might regret selling him because we're playing in multiple competitions. It's not just we're playing in Serie A, for example. We're playing Champions League, Coppa Italia. We're playing in also the Serie A. We're playing in the Supercoppa, not the Supercoppa this season, but we're playing in three competitions basically. I mean, so it's multiple competitions. So we're gonna need that squad depth, and we were both saying before, if we don't get a right replacement, I think it's going to be a really, really big problem for Juventus this season because we still need defenders. We need at least another creative midfielder. We definitely need a second striker. We need a winger. You know, so seriously, we have a lot of work to do, and the season is getting closer and closer, and we haven't made any moves. This is why I brought up that we need to act now so that we can implement all the players into what Tudor is trying to play, and also for the chemistry of the players, because that's the mistake that we did last season, Angelo. I'm not sure if you remember, especially because obviously it was like a year ago and everything, but we bought all of our players late in the mercato, and we got them. If you remember, Coop Miners when he arrived, right? It was
Yeah.
like in like September. You know what I mean, like when he actually started to come onto the pitch and started to play.
I
But he
mean,
was never.
we were making videos about that, like about his
Yeah,
arrival. And
yeah. But that's what I'm trying to say is like we got him late in the mercato. Same with Nico
yeah,
Gonzalez, and same with all these guys. We didn't get them like in the beginning of the preseason. And that's what is bothering. Same thing goes with Douglas Luiz. He only what played like one, but at the same time, he turned out to be a flop. You know what I mean? But that's what I'm saying. If you're not going to implement the players, you know what I'm saying, and get the players on time, then we have a big problem. And I think that if Juventus don't act in the next couple of days, then we're gonna be in trouble in terms of next season, in terms of qualifying for the Champions League. And you know, obviously, I'm not gonna say that Juventus is ready to compete, but you never know. But I think that Juve won't be competing for at least another 2 years. That's what. That's me. That's me. That's what I think. I'm not sure what you think, Angelo. And obviously, you could say what you think about it too, because for me, I just don't see the clear idea that Juve is trying to go towards, and trying to build. Because I really don't see anything at the moment. Who knows? Maybe this Juventus can surprise me since we did get David right. We got this guy, Joao Mario, So maybe this Juve could do something in the biggest moments, right? Maybe make like a comeback, right, in the season. Who knows? But at the moment in time, especially with the defenders that we're looking at, obviously Bremer is now back, Cabal is coming back, but you don't know because it's like they're coming back from an ACL injury, both of them. If they get injured again, the whole season just wrap it up and it's done.
I
You know what I
agree.
mean? So that's why we need defenders. We need defenders very bad. At least, in my opinion, at least two defenders we need. Lloyd Kelly is not going to fix it. I don't like Lloyd Kelly. You know this. He's not the profile. He's not the Juventus caliber that I would have wanted. At Juve, but he's here, so obviously, we have to mention about it. So um, but yeah, I mean, listen, what are your thoughts about for next season in terms of that? Because if we don't get the players, we're not gonna be in a good place next season. Most likely, it's very low chances that we could actually probably qualify for the Champions League or even compete for Scudetto. Because you have Roma that's um, strengthening. You got Napoli. You got so many of these guys that are doing well. But that's what I'm saying. With the way a whole situation, are we going to regret this signing? Because I don't know, man. It's like I said, this is a 50-50 sign for Juventus, right? Because it could turn out to be a good, profit, which it has, right, in terms of, the money, in terms of the intake as well, but also might also damage in terms of the impact on the field, which we certainly don't need at the moment, bad bad energy towards the team. So, at the moment, obviously for me, I think it was a good deal, but um, let's see what happens. If we could get a replacement, I think that would make me a lot better. But what do you think, man? I mean, I just did like a whole rant, but yeah, go ahead, bro.
No, I mean, I definitely think squad depth is a big thing that has to be addressed and has to be taken care of because you clearly saw the result of what happens when you don't have it. Last season was a great example of competing in a competition that for the first time that no one has
Yep.
with a different format of matches. Champions League with they added a significant amount of more matches onto our guys, which you know it was taxing. It was taxing our players. I mean, causing injuries, causing overuse. You saw a lot of muscle fatigue things in the news, and that's why you have to pick the right guys that, like I said, are capable of handling the competition.
Yeah.
Because if you have guys that are just not used to playing multiple competitions, they're just used to playing their league and maybe one other, then you got to look. Okay, in those times, how many times did they get hurt?
Yeah.
What positions do they play? If you have just
Yep.
say a fullback who's playing in there, that's a lot of running for that role. You got to look. Do you think he could handle this? Or if you're looking at defenders, you got to be like you have to see how they were able to, like I said, again with injuries, how they were able to handle that. How many minutes did they play? Um, so that's definitely a big thing is the squad depth, and I don't think you could stress it enough because of what we faced. I think the medical staff needs to be on point this
Yeah.
year. I think that needs to be also addressed with the management because I think that was a big thing where you were seeing these injuries where players are having muscle fatigue and they weren't being back on the field or in training around the
Yeah.
time that you think they should have been. So, I mean, I think those are the key things that need to be addressed, and the transfers that needs to be figured out ASAP. They need to have the guys coming in soon so that the ball could start rolling. I mean, you can't do what you did last year. You can't have players coming in September. They need to be coming in for preseason, being
Exactly.
getting fit, getting acclimated, understanding the philosophy of football that they want to be playing. I think
Yeah,
that's the major role, because then you're just going to see another season like last year or maybe worse.
yeah,
Because I mean, the guys that performed last year, you're getting rid of, and in all honesty, I don't know how many transfers that you're bringing in that how many people say, "Oh yeah, no, I'm definitely confident that this is going to be better than last year."
yeah,
That needs
yeah,
to
man.
be that's that's not good when you're looking at when your fans are and supporters are questioning your transfers. I mean, in all honesty, your transfer should be like, yeah, their fans should be saying, yeah, no, I really like this transfer, or they should just be saying, why did we do this? If you have people
Yeah,
questioning it, then it's like nobody really knows what's going on, and I feel
yeah,
like that's even scarier than saying, oh yeah, no, this guy's not that good. When you have people
yeah.
questioning it,
And that's the
it's
thing.
like
Like nobody knows what's really going on. Like what's the plan? That's why I'm
yeah,
like, okay, there could be like one plan. There could be also another plan, right? Because
yeah,
obviously since I'm a Juve content creator, right? you know, I looked into what Kamoli's plan, right, into his past and stuff like that, right. He's more of a data type of, director, and listen, it could go either way for Juventus. It could work or it could not work. In terms of, what players to get and what players not to get. So far, hasn't really convinced me. I think the only really one that has convinced me is, I would say that's the Jonathan David signing. That's the only really one that I say that was probably a decent signing of this summer with Jonathan David. Joao Mario, obviously, I'm not going to judge him yet, but still unknown. Um, in terms of we getting Conceição, that's great. Permanent deal, which we already discussed about that already. But hey, I mean, I think that in terms of what we're trying to do, it's still unknown. So let's see what happens. Obviously, and yeah, man. Obviously, we'll see what happens with the whole Mercato situation. We will do another video as well, Angelo. Don't worry. With the whole Mercato review for Juve, we'll definitely do that. And yeah, no, thank you for coming on as well, Ange. We'll
of
definitely end it
course,
here for this daily news slash rant, Juve rant. Make sure to like and subscribe, push notifications for more daily content like this because we're gonna start doing this more. And also make sure to go check out Tutto Calcio podcast. So go check out also Football Arena. It is in the lives. It's there. So make sure to go check those out, those shows out because they are amazing. So make sure to go check them out. And also go check out our socials in the description below. And what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments what you guys think about the whole Weah situation, about the deal itself, about if Juve will regret the Weah, Weah leaving. Let me know in the comments, everybody. And we'll see you in the next one, everybody. Ciao.